Have you ever wondered why some people seem to naturally thrive in life while others constantly struggle, even when they have similar circumstances, similar opportunities, similar intelligence? I used to think it was just luck. Or maybe genetics. Or perhaps some people just figured out the secret formula that the rest of us missed. But then I learned something that completely changed my perspective on mental health, on happiness, on what it actually means to live a good life. And I'm going to share that with you today. Here's the thing. We all know what physical health looks like. If I asked you to describe a physically healthy person, you could do it easily. Strong heart. Good lung capacity. Decent muscle tone. Flexibility. Endurance. We have clear benchmarks. But what about mental health? What does a mentally healthy person actually look like? Not just someone who isn't depressed or anxious, but someone who's genuinely thriving. Someone who wakes up and actually wants to engage with their life. Most of us have no idea. We're just guessing. We're stumbling through life hoping we're doing it right. Today, I'm going to give you a framework that changes everything. This comes from Dr. Paul Conti, a psychiatrist trained at Stanford and Harvard, and what he taught me gave me a completely new lens for understanding my own mind. By the end of this video, you'll understand the exact architecture of a healthy self, and more importantly, you'll know how to build it. This isn't therapy talk. This isn't about fixing what's broken. This is about understanding what optimal actually looks like and how to get there. So stay with me, because what you're about to learn is something most therapists never explain this clearly. Let's start with the most important question. What is the goal? What are we actually aiming for when we talk about mental health? According to Dr. Paul Conti, a psychiatrist who trained at Stanford and Harvard, the answer is surprisingly simple: agency and gratitude. If you look at truly happy people, regardless of their income, their age, their circumstances, they all approach life through these two lenses. Agency means you feel empowered to affect the world around you. You're not a passive victim of circumstance. You have control over your choices and your direction. Gratitude means you appreciate what you have and recognize your place in the larger world. You're not entitled or resentful. You feel fortunate to be here. Think about it. When was the last time you met someone with genuine agency and gratitude who was miserable? It doesn't happen. But here's where it gets interesting. Agency and gratitude don't just appear out of nowhere. They're built on top of two other crucial elements: empowerment and humility. Empowerment is your ability to navigate the world effectively. Humility is your recognition that you're part of something larger than yourself. So the hierarchy looks like this. At the foundation, empowerment and humility. At the top, agency and gratitude. The result? A life you actually want to live. But how do we build empowerment and humility? That requires understanding something most people never think about: the structure of your own mind. Imagine your mind as an iceberg. The part above water, maybe 5% of the total mass, that's your conscious mind. It's what you're aware of right now. Your thoughts, your decisions, your awareness of this moment. But underneath the surface is this massive structure, 95% of the iceberg, your unconscious mind. This is your biological supercomputer. Right now, as you're listening to me, millions of processes are happening beneath your awareness. Your brain is regulating your breathing, processing visual information, accessing memories, running predictive models about what I'm going to say next. All of that complexity gets consolidated and feeds up to your conscious mind so you can actually function in the world. But here's what's crucial. Your conscious mind is vulnerable. It's vulnerable to fear, to confusion, to despair, to all the chaos and uncertainty of life. So imagine that rising up from the unconscious part of the iceberg, there's a protective structure around your conscious mind. These are your defense mechanisms. Defense mechanisms are unconscious strategies your mind uses to protect you from psychological harm. Some are healthy, like using humor to cope with stress, or sublimating anxiety into productive work. Some are unhealthy, like denial, projection, or rationalization that prevents you from seeing reality clearly. These defense mechanisms, combined with your conscious and unconscious mind, form what's called your character structure. Your character structure is the nest of predispositions and potentialities that you use to interface with the world. It determines how trusting versus suspicious you are, how much you isolate versus connect with others, whether you use humor, and how you respond to stress and conflict, whether you rationalize problems or face them directly. And growing out of this character structure, like a plant from soil, is yourself. Yourself is what you experience as you. It's the product of all these underlying structures making decisions and taking action in the world. Now you might be thinking, okay, that's interesting, but why does this matter to me? Here's why. Most people go through life without ever examining their character structure or their defense mechanisms. They just react. They just exist. But if you don't understand the structure beneath your conscious experience, you can't change it. It's like trying to improve your physical fitness without understanding that you have a cardiovascular system, muscles, and a nervous system. You'd just be flailing around hoping something works. When you understand that you have an unconscious mind running millions of processes, a conscious mind that's vulnerable and needs protection, defense mechanisms that can be healthy or unhealthy, a character structure built from all of these, and a self that emerges from that structure, suddenly you have a map. You have leverage points for change. For example, let's talk about anxiety. Most people experience anxiety as this vague, uncomfortable feeling. They don't know where it comes from or what to do about it. But if you understand the structure we just discussed, anxiety becomes much clearer. Some anxiety is healthy. It keeps you vigilant about real threats. It motivates you to prepare and take action. But too much anxiety means your defense mechanisms are overactive. Your unconscious mind is perceiving threats that aren't really there, or magnifying small threats into existential ones. When you understand this, you can ask, what predisposition in my character structure is generating this anxiety? Is it serving me or limiting me? That's the power of this framework. It gives you the ability to examine yourself with the same clarity a doctor examines your physical health. So how do you actually assess your own character structure? The same way a doctor assesses your physical health, by looking at specific markers and asking specific questions. Here are some key dimensions to examine. First, isolation versus affiliation. Do you tend to withdraw and handle things alone, or do you naturally reach out and connect with others? Neither is inherently better, but extremes in either direction can be problematic. Second, trust versus suspicion. When you meet someone new, is your default assumption that they're trustworthy until proven otherwise? Or do you assume threat until they prove they're safe? If you've been traumatized, you might walk into a room of friendly people and still feel unsafe. That's your defense mechanisms being overactive. Third, use of humor. Do you use humor to deflect discomfort? To belittle yourself or others? Or do you not use humor at all? Each reveals something about your defensive structure. Fourth, response to frustration. When something goes wrong, do you explode? Shut down? Rationalize it away? Immediately problem solve? Your response reveals your predispositions. Fifth, avoidance versus confrontation. When you face a problem, do you tackle it head-on or do you unconsciously avoid it until it becomes a crisis? The key insight is this. Your character structure is revealed through your actions, especially in moments of stress or uncertainty. Think about a recent situation where you felt uncomfortable or challenged. How did you respond? That response wasn't random. It came from your character structure, which came from your defense mechanisms, which came from your unconscious and conscious mind working together. If you can start observing these patterns in yourself without judgment, just with curiosity, you begin to see the structure beneath your experience. And once you see it, you can change it. Let's go deeper on defense mechanisms because they're absolutely crucial. Defense mechanisms are unconscious strategies your mind uses to protect your conscious self from psychological pain. Healthy defenses include sublimation, channeling anxiety or frustration into productive work or creativity. Humor, using appropriate humor to cope with stress without avoiding reality. Altruism, helping others as a way of finding meaning and connection. Unhealthy defenses include denial, refusing to act no.